Guys, deluded. Now, FIFA are probably the most corrupt organisation on earth, between the FBI and between several governments and probably the Vatican Bank. So yeah, before them higher powers come after me, I mean, FIFA is a bit ironic that one of the most corrupt businesses in the world is trying to crack down on corruption and things like that. But if we move away from the conspiracy side of things, you've got to give credit to them. Allegedly, FIFA want to introduce several things now. This was all seen. I saw this all on the Daily Mirror, I believe. But if you just type in FIFA crackdown on Google, it'll come up with anything you want. In regards to the crackdown, they want to crack down on illegal practices specifically around transfers. They initially wanted to introduce an agent cap because if you look at it, they actually highlight 8% of financial deals within football are done by agents. So on that logic, if it is done by, I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong, but if it's done by 80% of agents, shouldn't they really be within their rights to demand what they want, or guess what's theirs and get the cake? Obviously, you see Pogba's agent made like 41 mil off all of these deals and stuff like that. They're extreme cases, to which you can say it's inhumane, but then you could also say these clubs are making a lot of money. So an agent, some agents are wolves and stuff, but the agents and players, they're within their rights to do this. And on top of that, I don't really like the word cap, because if I look at it away from football or away from the agent and what people think about agents, is it right that someone has a cap on their earnings in any profession? Like, there's a cap, and if there's a cap on your earnings in any profession, I sympathise with you, but I ask you not to be biased. Something rubs me up the wrong way with that. So that probably will not come in, but that's what they were aiming for. They're trying to better target compensation fees or training fees. And if, for those of you who don't know what it is every time you see these young players, these young talented players leave these tiny clubs in France, in Holland, specifically in England as well, with its the Lutons and the Stevenages, and big clubs poach them. Sometimes big clubs quite rightly give them a decent fee, but too often than not, you see little 300Ks and things like that, and that is a lot of money, and it can make a difference in more time than not. But it doesn't really reflect the hours that they've put into developing that player, or what the player can be. I mean, Amadou, I believe, the young boy who left Exeter to join Chelsea, I believe Chelsea gave them, I don't know if the tribunal will set the fee, but it's not really a mad cake like that for them. Chelsea, if he becomes a centre-half, which they're speaking about him being a centre-half, which people believe he could be, that's a 20+ million pound player. So, and if Chelsea were to even sell him for 20 million, that's going straight to them. They might buck Exeter a little fee, but you can see how wrong it is for clubs. Clubs like El Havre, like let's take Pogba for example. United did it. I don't think they did, because if I look back, I remember El Havre got pretty annoyed that Pogba went to United. But anyways, El Havre, very prestigious French academy that produces a lot of players. Pogba clapped by them from United for peanuts essentially, and then obviously you could say karma because he left for free and went Juventus and they had to pay 100 odd mil. But you can see Arsenal have done this as well. Cesc Fabregas, like you can see how these. That's probably not the best example, but you can see how these things happen in it. So they're trying to get around that and thinking that. They want to introduce a European-wide, not just in England, transfer window to close early in August. But they are saying that if serious injuries happen to players, you will have scope to sign a player or players. They probably have to be specific on what they mean by a serious injury. Is it 2 months? Is it a month? Is it a ligament injury? Is it a broken finger? What is it? Obviously, I'm being a bit silly there, but they need to be specific with that. They also want to introduce in January a minimum of 3 to 4. I believe I saw 3 to 4 maximum players incoming to your club if that's what you wanted to do. Which I must admit, I can see the benefits of that, but I don't really think it's right to tell people who they can and can't bring in. So yeah. So there's that. So, and there's also probably the most interesting one is I believe it's called a TMS matching system. That's to do with the transfers and the transactions that happen to transfers and the amount of hands and people that are involved in transfers. That is aimed at eradicating money laundering. And there's also, on top of that, there's also going to be increased criminal checks for everybody that's involved in a transfer. We know there's a lot of people involved in transfers, especially nowadays. That's why it takes so long. You got different agents coming in stuff, different representatives, different people with clubs. Sometimes rights are held elsewhere. So there's a lot of opportunities for people to get paid, but there's a lot of opportunities for people to do madness. So if increased financial checks or / criminal checks are involved in it, from everyone from the physios to the man there at board level, whatever title they are, the man that dot the I's and cross the T's for transfers, you'd like to think, don't drop. You'd like to think that's a good thing because it increases the transparency that people can see with transfers, and you on that basis, from a white and black point of view perspective, it will decrease corruption. Now, why I'm a bit pessimistic is people will always find ways around this. In fact, there's probably people in FIFA in the very organisation that are working to find ways around this. But yeah, man, they're trying to crack down on certain things. I thought I'd talk about it. Guys, deluded, get comment, subscribe, and do the rest. I'm out.